Good Monday morning, Mount Olive Church. I'm sitting outside doing my devotion today, and I want to take you to 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. 2 Corinthians 12 and verse 9. It says, I'm going to go verse 8 and 9. Verse 8, For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, 3 times, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee. My grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. So then Paul says, Most gladly therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. And so we see Paul's writing this, and as we said Sunday, he's got this thorn in the flesh, this thing that he wants God to take away from him. And God, he prays the first time, and God doesn't answer. He prays the second time. God doesn't answer. So, of course, probably like us, he's wondering if God will ever answer. And then he prays the third time, and actually Christ answers him and says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to change your circumstance. But I tell you what I will do. I'm going to give you my grace. My grace is sufficient. My grace is enough. My grace is abundant. It'll help you to endure the hard times. It'll give you strength when you're weak. And so I like that. And I said Sunday that grace means God's reaction and acts and care and efforts towards us. And it's undeserving and it's unmerited, God's grace. So he says his grace will be this force of power within us to help us even in the times that we battle infirmities and problems and situations. So I thought of a story that Pastor Tony Evans talked about. And he said that, there was a time in August 4th, 2003, that his wife, they were going to fly back from New York to Dallas, and they were in LaGuardia Airport. And he said he stood in line for like 30 minutes. He stood in line for 30 minutes, and the line was not moving to check in their flights. And he noticed that the conveyor belts were not working to take the luggage, and it was getting really hot. And so he went and stepped out of line and went up and asked someone, said, what's going on? And he said, well, the airport has no power. He said they came to realize that they were in what was called the blackout of 2003, where the whole East Coast went without power, and a failure to the entire power grid. So he said as it got hot and nothing was moving, no lights on in the airport, he said they struggled to know what to do. So he called his sister to help him get a room. They got him a room in the Crown Plaza of LaGuardia, just in the nick of time. It was the last room that they had. He said, so they went to the motel, and said as they walked into the lobby, it was candle lit. He said they had to sign in paper and pencil, and said they finally got their room, and he went up to his room. He said once he got up to his room, if you can imagine, all the lights are out, air conditioners out, everything. He says they look out the window, and right across from them is a Marriott, and that Marriott is booming. It's got lights, it's got power, people going in and out. So he said, I'm going to go over there and see what's going on. So he went over to the Marriott, and he went in, and the lights were everywhere, music playing, the air conditioner on, people going in and out of the restaurants. And he walked up to an employee at that motel, and he said, hey, he said, I don't understand. It's dark everywhere. The airport's dark, our motel's dark, and we're just across the road, and you're lit up like a Christmas tree. He said, how can that happen? And he said, the employee said, it's fairly simple. When we built this hotel, we built it with a gas generator. We've got power on the inside that is not determined by the circumstances on the outside. We've got power on the inside that's not determined by the circumstances on the outside, because that Marriott had a vision to have a gas generator. And so that's what this verse means today. Jesus said, though I may not change your circumstance, he said, my grace will be sufficient for thee. It'll be enough to carry you through, to empower you. My grace is sufficient for you. So if you're a believer today, if you've given your heart and life to Christ, that means this, that the power that's within you will be there, independent of the circumstances. That's what's going on around you. The power within you will be there even when the world is dark, because you got Christ on the inside. My grace is sufficient for thee. I hope this blesses you on this Monday morning. and have a wonderful day.